This is in fact my second recording because the first time I did it, my mic wasn't on. But before you absolutely roast me in the comments, please know that I want you to know that I believe that Silksong will make millions, most likely. Silksong will probably get tens across the board, and Silksong will just be amazing to play. Better than any game that I could ever make, probably. But as a consumer of things and a game developer making games, making a follow-up to a blockbuster hit in general is difficult. Making a sequel to Hollow Knight's blockbuster is insanely difficult. Today, I want to talk about whether Silksong is destined to fail its fans or if it's simply facing a monumental mountain of challenges in the modern game development sphere. I am not here to bash Team Cherry whatsoever, but I do want to examine the unique challenges that they're facing with Silksong. Hollow Knight's success and the impact on the industry has most likely made the development process challenging, to say the least, and made such high expectations that anybody would crumble under. Before I get into it, be sure to leave a comment below and subscribe for more content like this. Let's talk about Silksong and the absolute insane task that Team Cherry has. So to talk about Silksong, I feel like we first need to unpack Hollow Knight and its success and how it changed the game dev industry. Hollow Knight was released by Team Cherry back in 2017. It's absolutely insane that it's been that long already, but it made that game on a minimal budget with minimal marketing, only through word of mouth from content creators and streamers and, you know, the hundreds of 10 out of 10s that it got from the media did it grow in its popularity. And it's now considered one of the most beloved Metroidvania games with millions of copies sold. Some people even say that it is the best Metroidvania ever made. I'm not sure about that. Some people say it's the best indie game ever made. Again, not so sure about that. Kind of up to you, but whatever. And really, it's not hard to see why. Look at its art style, all hand-drawn environments and animations, deep lore and atmosphere. People love that stuff. It's not hard to see why. Plus, when it came out, there's really not much like it. Sure, there's Metroidvanias like Axiom Verge and other stuff like that, but all of the hand-drawn art and stuff like that, you just did not see very much when that game came out. It had taken risks where others were afraid to take risks, and it clearly proved to be worth it. But I wonder why Hollow Knight carried so much weight to it, and why that weight seemingly has been placed on Silksong. Obviously, the things I just mentioned of how Hollow Knight changed the industry would put that weight on Silksong, but when I think back to other sequels like The Last of Us 2 or God of War or even Tears of the Kingdom, those sequels were fantastic, but not the same. Hollow Knight changed game culture and forced an entire industry to take smaller developers more seriously. So naturally, the longer development takes, the higher expectations rise to be, creating a dangerous cycle where games can't live up to the hype no matter how good it is. The fear is that Silksong will either be seen as too different or too similar to Hollow Knight, making it hard to satisfy all of fans' expectations. And there's a lot of expectations. And now that success has created immense expectations for Silksong, where it almost has to be perfect. I don't know if you've lived on planet Earth, but perfection does not exist here, hasn't ever existed, and there will always be someone out there who loved Hollow Knight but will be disappointed by Silksong. And that, as a creator, as an artist, whatever you want to call it, that is a hard pill to swallow. It's funny, looking back to how Silksong came to be. Many of you probably know this, but it was actually DLC for Hollow Knight at one point. But the developers kept adding so much to it that it became its own thing, and thus Silksong was born. See, the dangerous thing though with Silksong and its development story is that it probably got announced too early. When you announce a game before it's close to being done, fan expectations and pressure will start to build. And it has for Silksong. I mean, there are memes about it. Not quite the level of GTA 6, but they're getting there. Anytime there's a Nintendo Direct or a Game Awards or announcement of any kind, Silksong is in the comments. People are just begging for more information on it, but they're quiet, which is understandable. But from a game dev perspective, announcing a project too early can kind of lock you into expectations that you might not be ready to meet. The development process is crazy messy. You will start with a vision, and that vision through the development process is going to change and evolve into something new. And when you announce too early, people expect that thing that was there at the beginning. Like I said, it changes. Look at Metroid Prime 4, announced like 5 years, and then it got canceled, and then it's something different. Thankfully, we didn't really see it, but it gets so messy, and fans become insane, myself included. Delays are super necessary for quality, but they only fuel the idea that something might be wrong, or that the game isn't progressing fast enough and the team's falling apart and there's fires and there's craziness. That happens when people have time to imagine the craziness that is the development process. And weirdly enough, fans expect innovation. They don't just want Hollow Knight 2, they want something different, or so they think. This means Team Cherry has to walk a very fine line between creating something new and staying true to what worked. Taking creative risks can either elevate the game to unseen heights, or whatever you want to say, or it can feel disconnected from what fans loved about Hollow Knight in the first place. Breath of the Wild is a perfect example of this. The Zelda formula was stale, to say the least, but Breath of the Wild breathed new life into the series. Innovating while maintaining the identity of the original is a complex thing to accomplish. Kind of feels impossible sometimes, but people have done it, like Zelda. And Zelda did this by adding new features and mechanics and environments, and some of these things did alienate some fans while exciting others. Some people want a more linear Zelda, while others can't even dream and fathom of going back to what Ocarina of Time did, or Skyward Sword. We're not going to talk about Skyward Sword, but that is a different day. But both feelings are valid. Both feelings are absolutely valid from a consumer's point of view. So as a developer, do you take the risk of changing too much, or do you take the risk of being accused of playing it safe? You literally can't win. You can't win. And that is where Silksong is at. That's where Team Cherry is with that game, or where I fear they are. But there's actually something that I kind of fear more than that. Hollow Knight's fan base is passionate, to say the least. They are eager for updates, and this obviously creates an overwhelming amount of pressure for the developers, as I mentioned before. Imagine working on a project that you love, you love so much. You put your heart and soul into it, but every step you take is being judged. I'm not saying that everybody does this. I'm not saying that even, this fan base is doing it to a egregious extent, but I'm sure they're seeing every negative comment out there. I'm sure they're taking that home with them. Constant feedback and speculation can lead to burnout for a small team like Team Cherry. They're not some AAA company that's taken the world by storm, but game devs, they need a space for creativity, a place for safe innovation, But constant pressure can lead to rushed and compromised ideas that needed more time in the oven to really flourish and become their own. I'm assuming that when your passion project becomes a global phenomenon, it can take a toll on the creative process, often, probably stifling it or not allowing it to flourish, like I mentioned before. And this absolutely probably leads to stress and potential burnout, which is the last thing fans probably want. High quality games take time to make, obviously. Silksong is no different. Team Cherry is, like I said, a small indie team, and creating a game of Hollow Knight's scope is not an easy task. It is not something that is to be rushed, obviously. Hollow Knight took years to make. Silksong is no different. Rushing a release to meet expectations can lead to an incomplete and buggy mess, and that is something none of us want. None of us want an incomplete and buggy mess at the end of the whole process. Indie devs face tough choices between delivering on time and ensuring the game meets their standards. Delays are normal in the industry, but the gaming community sometimes has little patience for them. In the end, the extra time spent will likely lead to an exquisite experience from Team Cherry with Silksong. But the wait can be obviously frustrating for fans and devs alike. So the question is, will Silksong fail? I actually think it begs to answer a different question. Does it matter if it fails? for people? And at the end of the day, the only person who can really answer that question is Team Cherry, because at the end of the day, their focus should be to create an amazing game. And at the end of the day, if they have created a game that even one person loves, they have succeeded in that. Will they fail though? For some people, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. But does it matter? No. Yes. That's a really hard pill, like I said, for artists and creators to swallow. But it's the fact of the trade, I guess. So let's remember that good games take time to make, and supporting the developers means the world to them. So that's my spiel. That's my spiel. If you like content like this, hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment below on your own thoughts and opinions of the Silksong fiasco and whether people are just losing their brains for no reason, because I'm sure a lot of people will think that. We have our own game coming out called Cave Masters. You can follow the link below. It's no Hollow Knight, but we're pumped about it. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love chatting with you guys. Check out our Discord. Chat with you there if you want. Thanks for being here. Like I said like 1,000 times now, but I'll see you next time. See ya.